We are here today, not because we want to be, but because we have to be. We are not here to be silent. We are not here to look away. We are here to protest the Islamic Republic, the killing of protesters, prisoners, tortures, and executions. We are here as the voice of those who cannot be here. The workers, the women, the students, the political prisoners who are locked away simply for demanding a better future. Today, we say this clearly and honestly: no repression in Iran, no to foreign intervention. Our freedom will not be handed to us. It will be won by the people themselves in Iran. We want a society where people can live, not just to survive, a society with work, housing and freedom, with free healthcare, free education and dignity for every single human. No power will be permanent. The people's will is the only authority. The voice will not be silenced. The struggle will continue until freedom is real. Victory belongs to people. Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with dictator! Down with dictator! Down with dictator! Down with dictator! Justice, justice for Iran! 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 Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! One solution, revolution! One solution! Revolution! One solution! Revolution! One solution! Revolution!
Thank you for coming here today. First, we acknowledge the land you're meeting today, the land of Capital people, the traditional owner of this place. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all First Nation people here today. Today we are gathered here to be a cry that must be heard. We are here to express our solidarity with the families and loved ones of more than 20,000 people who were killed in just 2 days in Iran. We are here to be the voice of those whose voices were silenced by bullets. Be the voice of political prisoners and voice of people under death sentence now. What was their crime? Other than demanding a free, dignified, and human life. They were people exhausted by hunger, by poverty, by homelessness, by searching for food in garbage bins, while at the same time, a thin layer of society corrupted and connected to power through family ties to the revolutionary guard, to the supreme leaders and government officials lives in obscene luxury. People did not come to the streets with violence. They came peacefully. They asked to be heard. They demanded the removal of a regime that is directly responsible for all these suffering. And what was the regime's response? Live ammunition. Bodies piled on top of each other. A bloodbath unleashed across the entire country. And when people tried to defend themselves, they were labeled terrorists. And the Basij and Sepah and Revolutionary Guard opened fire without hesitation on women, on children, on men. Today, the internet is cut. Phones do not work. Newspapers spread lies, and people are being killed in a criminal silence, in total darkness. Martial law has been imposed in many parts of Iran. People are forced back to work, forced to open their shops under threat. And the state loudspeakers scream, foaming at the mouth, promising massacre of so-called rioters. Let us to be clear, this tragedy is not over yet. In the midst of all this bloodshed, some are trying to make profit. Reza Pahlavi dreams of becoming king, the king of kings. He calls on open people to come into the streets and promises that 50,000 armed forces are waiting for his return. But the question is simple. Where were those 50,000 when women, men, and children were being slaughtered in the streets? These irresponsible calls cost people their lives. History will not forget this. And the people will not accept it. They don't accept any excuse. Welcome, guys. If you don't mind, I'm finishing my speech. Thank you. These irresponsible calls cost people their lives. History will not forget this, and the people will not accept any excuses. His supporters abroad once again attack demonstration of the Iranians who refuse to submit to yet another dictatorship. Instead of standing with the people, they try to crush dissent. In practice, they have become unpaid enforcers of the Islamic Republic, and that is shameful. Shame on them. Shame. On the other side, Mr. Trump, a politician whose only concern is his own financial interests and those of his capitalist allies, he too calls people into the streets and promises help are on the way. What help? The help given to Iraq, to Libya, to Kurds and Syria, to Venezuela for their oil? Where are the people in this equation? Today the lives of Iranian people are nothing more than poker chips on the negotiation table between Iran and the United States and Islamic Republic. The Islamic Republic is willing to accept any humiliation to save itself, and Trump, by moving pieces back and forth, seeks nothing but the interest of American imperialism. He does not care about the freedom of the Iranian people. People were trampled to death in the chaos. That's what he says. Let us say this clearly. The interest of the people in Iran can only be won through the struggle of the people themselves. Not Reza Pahlavi, not Trump, and not any government that's not based on the collective will and participation of the people can guarantee freedom and dignity. How can we speak of democracy when even before coming to power, we chant death to opponents, when gatherings are broken up through threats and intimidation, when artists like Too Much and Dariush are viciously attacked, threatened and insulted simply for refusing to declare loyalty. We do not look to Trump or anyone like him for salvation. And we will not hand our country to another fascist force that dreams of an even greater massacre. We are here to stand with the people of Iran, to mourn the dead, be their voice, and to stand in solidarity with the living. And we call on the workers and freedom-loving people of Australia to raise their voice on behalf of the people of Iran, to speak where they are silenced, to stand where they are beaten down, to denounce without hesitation or compromise this brutal ongoing repression, and to demand loudly, collectively, and relentlessly that government, international organization, and global institutions act now to end this blood-soaked campaign of terror in Iran. This is the minimum of our human responsibility. Thank you.
حکومت زن ستیز نمیخوای نمیخوای حکومت زن ستیز نمیخوای نمیخوای گرمتونه سر بلند حکومت زن ستیز نمیخوای
لالا کن دختر زیبای شب، لالا کن روی زانوی شب. بخواب تا رنگ بیمهری نبینی، تو میداری یک تلخه. حالا من موندم و یه کنج خلوت که از سقفش غریبی چکه کرد. تلاطم‌های امواج جدایی زده کاشونم سطح که کرد. دلم میخواست پس از اون خانه شیری دیگه چشمم به دنیا نمیشم، میونه قلب متروکم نشون دیگه از خاطر پیدا نمیشم. صدام غمگینه از پس گریه کردم، ازم هیچ اسم و هیچ آوازه نیست، نمیپرسه کسی هی در چه حالی، خبر از آشنای تازه به پروانه صفت ها بازه چشمم میل خاموشی نمیست، پرنده رو درختم آشیون کن. حالا وقت فراموشی من تو مثل التماس من میمونی که یک شب روی شونه هاش چکیدم، سرانگم من نوازش پایمون که خوابم برد و تو چشمام ندید.
It's such an important time to stand in solidarity with the people of Iran. The scale of the horror that's happened in Iran is very difficult, I think, to describe, to get it across to people. The fact that in a few days, such a huge proportion, well, we know probably it's 16,000, it may well be more than that, have actually been killed at the hands of the Iranian security forces. But when you think that in 2.5 years of bombing in Gaza, Israel has managed to kill 70,000 and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards have killed 16,000 or 20,000 in a few days, it gives you some idea of the degree of repression that ordinary people have faced on the streets of Tehran and 188 cities, I don't know how many cities, but right across Iran we've seen people come out to oppose the regime, and it's been absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible to watch. I think one of the things that I do want to take up, because it's been such a feature, either particularly in the Palestinian campaign, which has already been involved, but I think we need to be very clear about Donald Trump and the US. There is going to be no help from Donald Trump.
there's going to be no help from the US. And I see the Kurdish flags that are here today, and it's just the latest example of the way that the US has pulled out the support for the SDF. It has left the Kurds swinging in the north of Syria, and it's not the first time. The US is not interested in helping the people of Iran. The US is only ever interested in its own imperialist and corporate interests. That's all it's ever interested. Have a look at Venezuela. What did they want? Did they think they're helping? Did anyone think they're helping the people of Venezuela? Trump was only interested in capturing Maduro to try and make Venezuela safe for US imperialism, safe for the US oil corporations, and to send a message to everyone else in South America that they could face the same, kinds of treatment. So I think when people have made it very clear out of Iran, that to say no king, no leader, no Trump, it's a message that we have to echo here to understand that the US has never been the friend of ordinary people. They've never been the friend of people who have risen up against dictators. Donald Trump wants friends and makes friends with dictators around the world to make sure that he's going to keep the world safe for US imperialism. And I think the same thing with people who sometimes talk about the return of the Shah. I mean, anybody, and I can see looking around here, everybody here knows much better than I do about 1979 and what the Shah actually represented and why people rose up in their millions against the Shah. You think about the number of political prisoners. Of course, we talk about the political prisoners that the regime has in Iran at the moment. We talk about the repression. But you only think about the Savak. How many political prisoners did Savak have in 1979 that had to be freed from the jails by popular uprisings in Tehran and around the city? Tens of thousands of political prisoners the Savak had. If the Shah was to return to Iran, that's all that we would see. More political prisoners, more ordinary people inside their jails as the Shah tried to make Iran safe for America and safe for big business. We're not interested in that. You needed one other little thing to take away. That Trump has already started deporting Iranians from the US to Tehran. Even after talking about, we're here to help, we're sending warships and so forth. As I stand here, there are 40 Iranians including two gay men who may be deported this day out of the US to Tehran. And he's already said there's already about 180 have already gone. He said there's about 400 that they're going to send back. That's who we're talking about. If Trump was a real friend of the Iranian people, he wouldn't be deporting people. But yes, but he is. I think also the thing applies to Mossad. People think it's Mossad. Now we know Mossad is in Iran. We know Mossad has carried out assassinations of Palestinian leaders inside Iran. But the idea that Mossad is in 188 cities across Iran, that Mossad is responsible for the uprising that we've seen, for the courage of the ordinary people in Iran, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Israel and the US, work hand in glove, in that respect. The truth is, I think as other people will have said, the uprising of 2026 is part of a wave of uprisings in Iran. A wave of the measures of the resistance of ordinary people in Iran against the rulers of Iran, against the capture since 1979, when they've managed to create a clerical capitalist regime in Iran. And it is up to 2026 is only the latest. You could talk about 2009, 2017, 2019, 2020, the women life freedom, and now in 2026. There has been a wave of resistance inside Iran, and that's one thing that we want to recognise. The possibility of liberating Iran rests with the ordinary people who've had to face, the guns and the repressions in the streets of Tehran and other places. The scale of the crisis in Iran, I'm sure other people have talked about it, but you can talk about the cost of living, you can talk about inflation, talk about the banking crisis, the water shortages, the power shortages. I've told other people, I'm in contact with some people from Iran who were sent back from Australia to Tehran. One of them works actually in the market in Tehran. when he sends me photos of his conditions of work, of his circumstance of life, it looks like someone from the days of the Depression in Australia. That's what Iranian capitalism has created. That's why the people of Iran are resisting. So in that respect, I think it's very important that we generate the maximum amount of solidarity that we can for the struggle. In Australia, we've got a Prime Minister who's been struck dumb by Donald Trump, who's incapable of actually standing up for the people of Venezuela, who says nothing when he's invited to sit on the board of peace, the so-called board of peace, with Gaza. What a travesty, that he would do that. At the same time, he allows the US bases in Australia. He makes sure that Pine Gap and US bases are available for US imperialism. And I'll make a little point that others are going to make, that just like Donald Trump is supporting Iranians, there are Iranians in Indonesia, there are Iranians in PNG, there are Iranians in the streets of Australia now who need permanent visas and who need citizenship, and who the Australian government has turned a deaf ear to. So it's right, I think. We stand here because we want to see another 1979, another uprising of ordinary people. But I think we do need to be clear that we need to build a much, much stronger left, if that's what we're going to see. Not just in Iran, we need to build a much stronger left in Australia that understands it is a question of US imperialism. It is a question of both fighting our own ruling class and the US, if that's what we're going to see. So that the message has to be very clear from us today. That we do stand in solidarity with the people of Iran. We need to see an end to the clerical regime. The crisis in Iran is deeper and deeper and deeper. What we've seen in the days of January is just the latest wave of struggle. It's not going to be the end of the revolution in Iran. It's the latest chapter in the revolution in Iran. So Marpa dictator, victory! Marpa dictator, victory! Victory for the people of Iran.
Jin Azadi. One more time, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathering here for a just cause. I don't want to take much of your time, only 2 minutes talk, and after that I'm going to play a revolutionary song, a revolutionary Kurdish song, which means a lot to all of us, and I'm sure you will enjoy it and your morale will be boosted. Let me tell you this. 3.5 years ago, 10,000 people, 10,000 Iranian people marched in Sydney and chanted Jin Jian Azadi, or women, life, freedom, or Zan Zindagi Azadi. Today, we see most of those 10,000 people chant Long Live King. They chant death to left, death to this, death to that. I can assure you, these people did not understand the meaning of Xinjiang Azadi back then, and do not understand the meaning of Long Live King. People just follow what they are said to do. People just say and repeat the slogan which is fashionable in the day. This is not how you get rid of dictatorship. People need to understand what they are going through. If I want to talk to you about the difference between Xinjiang Azadi and Long Live King, I can write a book as long as War and Peace by the great Leo Tolstoy. And we're not here to talk about that. I just want you to imagine that you will wake up one day and then you will see that our king has been recognized by the Americans, by the Europeans, and as a so-called leader of the movement, and they may help him to get into the power. Imagine what's going to happen in Iran. We will be targeted. It doesn't matter who you are, left, Kurdish, or whatever basically minority you are, you will be targeted. We should not stay back and play victim. I can assure you the left movement will have one great support in Iran, and that is Kurdish movement. Because history shows back in the 80s, it was Kurdistan who helped the left, who stayed from all of the Iran and took refuge in Kurdistan. And I should say that the left movement helped Kurdish movement. So please think about future. Don't play the victim game. Don't think the workers of the world will unite. We should not wait for that day. I am not sure it's going to happen, but you should be thinking about your protection, your just cause in a short period of time. So I want to stop here. I don't want to take much of your time. And as I said, I'm going to ask to play that revolutionary Kurdish guy. Just before that, one more time, Jen Jian Azadi.
Jen Jian Azadi.
Jen Jian Azadi.
Jen Jian Azadi.
Thank you. Just wait for the song, please. This is a revolutionary song which was very popular back in the 80s.
Our next speaker is Bruce Conger from Street of Europa. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks for holding that. Support the people's uprising. Down with the Islamic Republic. Support the people's uprising. Down with the Islamic Republic. Support the Islamic uprising. Support the people's uprising. Down with the Islamic Republic. Defend political prisoners. Stop the killing. Defend political prisoners. Stop the killing. Defend political prisoners.
Stop the killing!
Defend political prisoners.
Stop the killing!
Thank you for to the Iranian socialist organisations for inviting the Spirit of America to speak today and calling us all to stand in support of the Iranian uprising against the Islamic Republic. This Iranian uprising is the latest in a series of outbursts against the regime's social oppression and people's difficulties. Conditions are so intolerable, huge numbers have gone to the streets, and workers are organised in strikes. Middle-class people are forced by inflation, the regime's poverty wages and lack of jobs. Many of them see their future with the workers and lower classes who experience great difficulties. The Islamic Republic and its theocratic capitalist system create oppressive social conditions. The struggles of Iranian women are well known. Gender religion is not as strong as it was. Unemployment and inflation are high. In the regime system, people can't get what they need to live. The uprising is about Iranians' ability to eat, to live, to get educated, to get jobs. People rose to end their suffering and oppression. They defy death, and the regime fights them with death. They've been met with bullets, batons and guns. Thousands have been murdered and executed. The regime tries to hide it and disorganise people by cutting communication. The regime fears the Iranian people. The Spirit of Eureka organisation supports the Iranian uprising for liberation from the Islamic Republic. The Iranian people's cause is just, and they are strong. There are dangers. Imperialist powers interfere to try to control the popular uprising, looking for proxies, Pahlavi, collaborators in the military, political figures, big merchants. Some Iranian capitalists and sections of the regime might capitulate to the US. They want to keep plundering the people, betraying the people's uprising. Capitalist media spreads their nonsense. Some progressive people and organisations in Australia fall for it and fear the uprising becoming allied to the US and Western imperialism. It's not impossible, but it's not what Iranians are fighting for. The US threatens military attack to open the way for collaborators to come forward and drag Iran from the Russian-Chinese orbit into its own empire. Our Kurdish comrades are experiencing what that means right now, and our solidarity with our Kurdish comrades. Conflicts between major imperialist powers across the world are getting more intense. There's a danger of a new world war. US attacks on Venezuela, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Israel's genocide in Palestine and attacks throughout the region. The Taiwan conflict between the US and China marked the build-up in conflict. International crisis in the imperialist system, inflation, debt, stagnating economies. It's got imperialist powers chasing new markets and suppliers to be able to end their stagnation. It drives the clash of empires. It drags us all towards world war. It results in austerity policies, poverty, injustice and misery. It sets off spontaneous mass uprisings around the globe. They're spreading. The Iranian People's Uprising is in the front ranks of the international surge against imperialism and local tyranny and corruption, along with the Kurdish people. The US imperialists and the Islamic Republic have strength. They have real weaknesses too. They oppress and exploit the people, bringing economic crisis and war. They have few friends. The US imperialists and the Islamic Republic have strength. They have real weaknesses too. With that, oppression and exploitation of people. People don't like the US imperialists. Even in Americans, there's widespread protest and resistance in the US. At the very core, the US and the local tyrants are weak. Iranians and Australians are driven to unite against US imperialists, local tyrants and collaborators with their economic crisis and war. People the world over support each other in struggle for national and social liberation. The wave of uprisings initiated by the Iranian people is part of the struggle of the working class, oppressed people and oppressed nations internationally. Support the Iranian people's uprising against the Islamic Republic. Oppose foreign interference in Iran. Stop Israel and the US bullying and threats. Defend political prisoners. Stop the killings. Long live the Iranian working class. Long live the Iranian people's struggle for life and justice. Down with the Islamic Republic.
Down with the Islamic Republic of Iran!
Down with Islamic Republic
Of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran!
Down with
Islamic Republic of Iran. Zindagi Azadi.
Zindagi Azadi.
Zindagi Azadi. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land and their elders past, present, emerging, Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We need to unite the struggles of the oppressed, and I encourage everyone here today to come tomorrow to Hyde Park at 10 a.m. to the Aboriginal-led Invasion Day protests. It's also really important that many of you assembled here have been regularly present at the large protests against the genocide in Gaza. But today we're gathered here to support the political, economic and social demands of the mass protests that have erupted on the 28th of December last year. The protests have occurred in hundreds of cities across Iran's vast land and involve people from across Iran's wide linguistic, cultural and social diversity. Kurdish, Azeri, Baluchi, Awazi Arab, Bakhtiari and of course Persian. This movement is a continuation of
and built upon other recent uprisings. The Green Movement of 2009, the anti-Rouhani protests of 2018, and of course Women Life Freedom for Mahsa Amini in 2022-23. In common for all of them were demands like the freedom to organise independently of the state, freedom to form their own political organisations, and freedom of expression. This time, however, the protests began when the Tehran Bazaar merchants, previously a pillar of support for the regime, shut their shops in response to the Iranian currency sinking to record low against the US dollar. The economic crisis has actually then seen Iranian workers take absolute centre stage amidst the uprising. Teachers, nurses, bus drivers, factory workers, oil workers are all prominent in the list of those who are being murdered by the Iranian regime. Sadly, some people on the left have engaged in conspiracy thinking, saying that this courageous, determined, mass social movement was orchestrated by foreigners. This position echoes the Iranian regime's denial of popular agency and its justification of repression. For many years, the regime has labelled every workers' protest, every teachers' gathering and every women's movement as, quote, a project of the enemy. We need to see the continuity of the people's demands, and we can't reduce it to external factors. Because Iran's crisis is not merely a result of US sanctions, and not merely the result of foreign conspiracy. It's the product of a structural crisis within a security-driven capitalist economy. Systemic corruption, the deep ties between security and military institutions and the economy, and the shifting of costs onto workers has turned the crisis into an explosive livelihood situation. The logic of the market and profit in Iran works the same as it does elsewhere. Exploitation of labour, denial of workers' rights, socialised poverty and privatised profit to the rich and the elites. The protests in Iran did not emerge in a vacuum. They're a social response to economic and political order that has closed all other paths of reform, organisation and expression, while pushing everyday life to the limit. The core of any liberation in Iran is the conscious agency of the people, the struggle for political freedom, the rejection of any system that turns human life, labour and dignity into tools for preserving power and profit. Foreign interventions, as others have said, cannot be denied, nor naively ignored. Foreign governments like Israel and Mossad always try to take advantage of existing crises and social discontent. However, this must never turn into reducing social protest as large and complex as Iran to a simple so-called product of foreign interference. We're here to grieve the thousands who've been murdered as a result of the regime's repression. And I want to quote the Coordinating Council of Iranian Teacher Trade Associations as a teacher unionist myself. The internet, as we know, was blacked out for 2 weeks, but as soon as it was partially restored, this Coordinating Council of Teacher Unionists in Iran published the names and photos of 20 children that they knew of killed by the Islamic regime. They emphasised that this list is going to grow and will be updated over time. As an active member of the New South Wales Teachers Federation, I applaud the role of the Iranian Teachers Trade Associations in the protest. 2 days ago on the 23rd, they issued a statement saying we strongly condemn the bloody crackdown on the protests, the killing of demonstrators, mass arrests, the use of organised violence against the people, especially young people and children. These actions are a clear violation of human rights, citizens' rights and the dignity of society. Direct responsibility for these crimes lies with those who ordered and carried them out, and they will not be forgotten. The Coordinating Council also expressed deep sorrow and solidarity with grieving families. And the latest report by Harana, the news agency of human rights activists in Iran, put the total number of children victims at 42. It's very good that the Australian Education Union, as well as Education International, which represents teacher unions worldwide, have put out public statements in support of the protests and condemn the regime's murderous repression. The Australian Education Union, which our federation is affiliate of, put out a statement saying that it expresses strongest solidarity with the huge teacher strikes and protest rallies in Iran on the 13th of January in 75 cities in 29 provinces. These protests were called at 3 days' notice and mobilised over 30,000 teachers. We need to reject cynical attempts by Trump and Netanyahu to hijack the movement for their own agenda. Clearly, those who commit genocide in Gaza or totally back the brutality of ICE in the United States do not have the best interests of the Iranian masses at heart. And just today, another person in Minneapolis was murdered by Trump's thugs, as tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets across the US. Anyway, I wanted to say the Australian government has blood on its hands for its mistreatment of Iranian refugees. If some Iranians try to reach Australia now, they'd be sent to Nauru. The movement won't take a step back. There's no turning back, and it's very important at this juncture that the international working class stands in absolute solidarity with the Iranian people. Long live the People's Revolution of Iran, and stand with the Iranian people. Thank you.